Bowden.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Hinderman here. Pohl.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
White here. All present.
Proof of giving public meeting notice, Aaron?
Yes, it was posted in both buildings, sent to our local municipalities of the Cuba City or City of Cuba City and the Village of Dickeyville, and sent to our members of our local meeting.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Item 3 is public recognition, and I think I'm the only
We've
one.
got one, it's
I'm
you.
the only one on there.
Yep.
So, just 2 quick things. One is I want to thank all the board members. Basically it's been a tough, last 7-8 months or whatever it's been. Appreciate all your patience and the Zoom meetings and Zoom. I thought that was take your car and go fast before 8 months ago or so. So, and thank you, teachers, staff, administration, for, I guess, obviously getting us to this point. And I know and understand and hear it's not been easy. So, and I don't know what to say other than thank you. So, and the other item is basically, I see that Heather sent the 4 people are up for school board election. And I would like to urge everybody to run if you can. And at this point, I am going to run one more time at least. So, okay. Good news. Moving on, consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any items A through D that you would like hold for the further discussion? Hearing none, when somebody move, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Take your pick.
All right. Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman. Yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Administrative reports, middle and high school. Ellie.
All right, so my few things to share tonight. Now that the weather is getting colder, I just want to give an update as to what we're doing with some of our classes that have been participating outside, which obviously it's getting cold, so we can't do that, such as band, choir, and physical education. So with band and choir, we'll start with band. We've received special PPE to use over the bells of the instruments. We got those in maybe a week ago, and so that allows us to be having groups inside, still keeping plenty of social distancing. And these are things that I did talk to Jeff at the county about to make sure that we're doing it the right way. And he supported that what we were doing is what we should be doing. So we are doing that for band. Same thing with choir, wearing masks, having plenty, more than 6 feet, where it's a bigger distance than that, to make sure we're staying safe. Physical education, I just want to share that we obviously can't be outside when it gets too cold. And we are able to, now that we have our sprayers and things working the way we want to, we've created a system with the FIAD teachers to be able to clean the locker rooms in between. So students are able to change their clothes now and do some more physical activity that's more similar to what actual PE is about. So we're happy about that. It's going well with being able to clean in between. So we know we have that taken care of. I also am very excited to share that I talked to Ian Brooks, Duff Bowers, about our art performance possibilities for our students this year. And he has some really great ideas to do some short acts and do a live stream of the production. So small groups of kids would be doing different acts as well as having singing in between. But we would work at cohorting the kids in very small groups to be able to do that. So we are going to be starting signups for that here in December so that we can look to begin that. Ms. Adler organized a junior information night for our juniors and their parents. She did an outstanding job sharing very important information about junior year, because there's just a lot of information around assessments that they have to take, as well as the conversation around thinking about where you want to go to school, possibility of college visits, financial aid information, and other online resources around different occupations in our area and things that students might be interested in. So it was a great night for our juniors. Parent-teacher conferences took place on the 19th and the 23rd. They were completely virtual and went well. And I think it's something that we might look at in the future, even after we're post-COVID, when we're done with this. We may have that type of a hybrid option for conferences if some parents would prefer to do virtual, because they did go very well on those days. The end of the quarter was November 5th, and November 6th, our staff had an opportunity to work on grades as well as continue to plan forward for what's coming, as well as that virtual week after Thanksgiving. So that was a very productive day for all. I want to give a shout out to Miss Rollins. She's always done such an outstanding job with our Veterans Day program, bringing our veterans in and doing an assembly in the gym. And obviously this year we couldn't do that. So Miss Rollins, as well as Miss Budden, came up with a great idea of purchasing yard signs for our veterans, which many of you maybe did see those around town. And then the veterans, we took pictures of the veterans with their sign in their yard and posted that on social media. So we really wanted to honor our veterans and let them know that we were thinking of them on November 11th. And that is how we did that. And I want to thank everyone that purchased the signs and the donations that came in from the community. It was good. So that was outstanding. The middle school had a dress-up week on October 26th to the 30th, and it was really fun to see the excitement with the students on those 5 days. To be able to do something a little out of the norm was fun, and to get pictures of the students in that as well. Girls basketball and gymnastics began on this last Monday, the 16th. Wrestling and boys basketball will be starting on the 23rd. FCCLA is hosting a sock, mitten, and hat drive for the community. And there's a box actually here in the hall to drop off those items for people in need. Leo Club did leaf raking on November 8th. Leo Club is also having a hat drive with donations that will help the Lioness Holiday Project. And Student Council is also working with the Lioness Holiday Project with collecting gift cards and posting them so that people can take and actually buy gifts. And the difference this year is we're going to do all gift card options because of the sharing of items. So that is the plan with that. Volleyball standards. Later on in the agenda, you're going to see there's an item to approve either selling the volleyball standards or disposing of the ones we have. We did get new volleyball standards this year, and the core that the standard goes into is different for all of them, and so they won't fit in the elementary gym. And so we're just looking for approval to be able to either sell them or get rid of them. So that's what that item is later on in the agenda. I want to give a big shout out to all of our staff members as tonight, with their flexibility and willingness to fill in when needed. Things have come up. And there are times that we just need someone to go to a room because we have the teacher teaching virtually. And it has just been outstanding to have staff that they're willing to just say, yep, I can do that. And I just want them to know how much I value that what a team we are to just do what we need to do for our students every single day. And then the last thing I want to share is that yesterday at 2 p.m., we were so fortunate to have Alex Erickson join us virtually as a whole school. So it was our first virtual assembly. And it went really well. And the students were very receptive to it. And he did an outstanding job talking to our kids. The 5 points of emphasis that he stressed was, these are the 5 things that helped him get to where he is. And it was passion, hard work, perseverance, don't be afraid to fail, and confidence. And he talked about those 5 things, shared personal stories around each one of them, which was really neat. Stressed how he was just like our students not that long ago, sitting in his seat just a little bit away in Darlington. And it was a really neat experience. And then he spent about 25 minutes answering any questions they had. And the kids really enjoyed it. They really enjoyed it. And this was 612. So he kept the attention of all of them. It was neat. And he said that if he gets a touchdown at Washington this weekend, he is going to sign it and send the football to us. So woohoo. So we'll see if that happens. We're going to hold him to it. We hope he does. We offered him good skill at his next game. So that is my report.
Thank you, Colleen. Any questions? We have, Brad and Deb's reports are written for you guys this week, so it's, not in the stapled section. Just right, there you go, those are those. So that's the elementary school report and the special ed report, just short ones for you guys to read, so I can go into mine. We do have a celebration today. The Wisconsin Association of School Board has recognized one of our members, Mr. Gary Andrews, as achieving award level number 4. And so looking into this, this is based on a few different things. It's based on the amount of professional development that one gets as a board member. You get points for serving on the Wisconsin Association of School Board committees, or other committees that are dedicated towards education, even if it's not WASB. So big congratulations goes to Mr. Gary Andrews on reaching level 4. So congratulations, Gary. Thank you. Normally I'd shake your hand here, but we're not supposed to do that. Some other things here. After the board reports from the elementary and special ed director, you'll see a CISA 3 chart. And this really talks about the different educational environments week by week. This is something Jamie Nutter just started to do as a reference. So if you look at the first page, which is all filled, the second page is about halfway filled. If we look at the first page, it breaks the schools down by county to see what are other schools doing. And you have a few different options. And every Monday, we're supposed to fill this in, or if we know in advance how long this is going to be, we can fill it in. So as you can see, Cuba City, I've been filling it in week by week, but we do know the week of November 30th, that block already. So this breaks it down from Crawford County, Grant County, Iowa County, Lafayette County, Richland County, and Sauk County. Those are the counties that the schools make up CISA 3. And you'll see it either says 90 to 100% in-person education, 60 to 90% in-person education, 50-50 in-person and virtual. Then I don't even see one of the other ones.
There's a 60.
Is there a
virtual?
16.
Iowa Grant had it 1 week.
Iowa Grant had 1 week. Yeah, that one you don't see too often. And then it's 90 to 100% virtual is in the red. So you'll see as the weeks get longer, depending on which county you are. Some counties are making different recommendations. I was very surprised. I had my meeting with Jeff Kindray, who is our county health director, and for the first time, we were talking a little bit about band, and he was sharing what we were doing with band with the other schools. And he said, and you guys probably didn't think that I'd say this, but I think it's probably a good idea that kids have sports this winter. I was shocked that he said that. He said, I'm looking more in the emotional, social, mental aspect of that age group, and it's probably a good idea. He did, we'll get to this later, but he said, I don't think you should have fans, or if you do have fans, severely limit it. But it's probably a good idea that kids get back to sports and have that. So I was not expecting him to say that at all yesterday, but he did. So, but again, if you talk to the Iowa County Health Director, they're not recommending that. So again, it does differ county by county, but Jeff has always been, in the fall, he kind of chastised us for even talking about sports. And then in the winter, he's very hopeful that the vaccine will make some differences here coming up in the spring also. So that's just for our reference, just so you guys know about what's going on. Let's see. Also, want to thank our COVID team. We meet daily and go through every COVID-related issue with a student and staff member from about 8:30 to most of the time it's 9 o'clock. Sometimes it's a little past 9 o'clock, just to make sure that we're giving parents the correct information. If we have questions, we're getting it from Grant County at that time. And just so we're all on the same page, trying to do what's best for our kids and our staff. So they're doing a wonderful job. The formulation of the COVID team, and we try not to involve the principals in it too much and the teachers in it too much, because we really want the principals and teachers focusing on kids. And, principals have been trying to patch scheduling so that kids still get instruction.
And as Ellie said, the teachers at both buildings have been very accommodating with kind of filling in wherever need be to make sure that our kids are getting the best type of instruction. So want to thank everybody who's involved in that. And also, we've had just, in talking with other superintendents, we've had an abnormal amount of really understanding parents when we make phone calls at 8 o'clock on a Sunday. Or I can tell when I say, hi, this is Mr. Olson, superintendent of Cuba City Schools, I can almost hear the parents on the other side sigh like, oh, which kid's going to be quarantined now? And we hate making those phone calls. And but all the parents continually say, yep, we understand. This is how it goes. You know, we get it. And I just know a lot of superintendents who make those calls from our CISA 3 have not been met with the type of community-wide support and understanding that we have had. So that's just a big testament to our parents and understanding what we're trying to do and being understanding with the situation that we're in. So want to thank them as well. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Aaron? Alrighty, moving on to new business. Approve the 2021 second semester educational environment options.
Yep, basically what we're going to be recommending is the same instructional or educational outcomes or options as first semester. So we really need to get Edmentum numbers soon. So what we'd like to do is send this out this Friday. We were either going to send it out Thursday or Friday, but the mass continuation order is going to come out either Thursday or Friday. I'll probably wait till that language comes out and just attach that so parents don't have to find it. They can just look at it there. Governor Evers let that go today. That'll probably go through mid-January. So we want to have them have those same options that if they want to go full virtual for second semester, they can through Edmentum. If they want to go face-to-face, they can here at Cuba City. And just want to let you know, we have had less than a handful of parents who have requested that their kids do a virtual with Cuba City teachers. So right now we have short-term virtual. So if a kid is quarantined, or even if they're sick with non-COVID related symptoms, which there aren't many of those, but there are some, they can log in 612. It's pretty much minute for minute. You know, they can get on and they can get all the instruction. And a couple of days later, they can come back and get caught up. What parents are saying is, that's working so well, why can't I just do that the whole time? In talking with our Cuba City Education Association, this is what we talked about in August. It's really hard to provide everything for everybody. And really what we're saying then is there's a hybrid instruction where when you don't want to come to school, you can stay at home to do it. And that puts a big burden back onto the teachers who, if a kid's out for a few days or for a quarantine period, the teachers generally hold off on all the assessments or some of the projects until they get back, and they can have them do those and get caught up. But if those kids are never coming back, then we're asking those teachers to create all those new assessments virtually. And in order to do that, they would have to create different types of lessons for full-time virtual students, which is what we talked about in August. So again, our recommendation would be we continue the same thing that we had first semester, face-to-face or virtual. If somebody is out for a little bit, if they're sick or if they're on a quarantine, we still have that short-term virtual option. But it would not be my recommendation to have a full-time virtual with our teachers. Right now, teaching is very difficult right now with all the things that we're having them do. I would not feel comfortable adding this one more thing onto our staff. I don't think that would translate to our students in the seats getting a better instruction or the students at home. I think we'd take away from both. So that's our take administratively, is that we continue with the same options that we've had, but I'll field any questions right now that you guys have.
Hearing none, I guess if there's no questions, there is a motion there, if somebody's willing to make it.
I'll move to approve the second semester of 2021 educational environment options as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Henderman. Yes. Cole.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Item B is approve the purchase of an HSPB plasma cutting system package from H21 Group.
Yes, and I was informed today that the CTE would like to get the CNC plasma cutting system from the Lincoln Electric Group now, not the HG Group, but because this is the way it was posted, we have to postpone this. We can't just, I checked with Eileen, we can't just cross it out because it was posted this way. We have to make sure, we have to postpone this till December.
Okay.
I did talk with Joe Van Scandal, who's going to come in December and talk a little bit more about the specifics of that as well.
So is that the second quote then that you got at the?
Actually, we got two quotes, but when they brought it in to say this is the one we got, I think there was a miscommunication of which one they wanted. So,
Okay.
welding is not, they wouldn't use it till second semester, so it still gives us time to order it and get it in by second semester.
Any questions other than that?
Is that three-phase system? You know where?
It's a great question for Jill. Jill and Guy have been working on trying to find the best one. And they found one about a year ago that they researched, and then I told them they had to have two different bids. So they found a different bid, and they really liked both of them, and they came back with one. But as far as CNC plasma cutting system, Jill would be able to answer your questions a lot better than I would be.
Okay, then we're tabling that. We'll move to C, approve activity limitations through January 20th of 2021.
Yep, the Southwest Wisconsin Activities League came up with, we basically kind of looked at what the Capital Conference did. We liked their form and they sent it to us in a Word document. And we kind of changed it to make it a SWAL conference. And we went through every section and said, okay, what would we want to change here? And so it's got health screening procedures. This comes right from the WIA. It has screening verification forms that teams have to fill out right from the WIA. Face coverings, our conference felt very strongly that if you're a member of the SWAL, you will wear face coverings for practices and games, in conference games and in non-conference games. So, and let's say that we're playing in Wisconsin Dells against Wisconsin Dells High School, and Wisconsin Dells says, you guys don't have to wear masks. To be a part of the SWAL, knowing that we play a SWAL team next week, we have to wear masks. So that was something that all the schools felt very strongly about. Officials, like when we allow them in the building, event workers are going to be limited, locker rooms, how we handle locker rooms. There's a couple of things that we'll come back to. We talked about no concession stands at SWAL events, the competition timelines, which has something to do with spectators, is on here as well. School closures, all of us are aware that there might come a time where the county health department or the school just says, you know what, because of activity levels, not on a team, but in our area, we might go virtual for a week or two. All the schools said, if there's a school-wide closure, teams can still practice and play games. However, obviously, if there's a team quarantined, they cannot play. Obviously, the county would not let them also. And talks about equipment. They don't want sharing any equipment. So just like you do when they're little, the coach is going to bring balls for warm-ups, and Cuba City will use their basketballs, and the other team will use their basketballs. The things that we want to talk about, though, really spectators. So our conference decided we'll set maximum number of players till about the midway point of the SWAL season is January 22nd. I think our January meeting is January 18th or 19th. So we'll probably come back to this in January. But they said for home teams, let's set a max of up to 4 people, and they said family members only. They're really trying to stay away from student sections, and this was really pushed by the schools that had fall sports. Said we can't have student sections, but we want to allow family to observe, and no more than 2 adult family members visiting for visiting athletes. So what that would mean for us, and this is where the competition timeline comes into effect. The JV game, we would allow JV teams to warm up from 5:40 to 5:55, or is it 5? 5:45 to 6 o'clock, probably for JV. We have the school all locked up. At 5:50, from 5:50 to 6, we allow people to come in, and then we lock the doors again. And that's where that game is. After the game, we've got the fans will all exit out one entrance. We will spray the bleachers with our disinfectant. We will take I don't know what it's called. I call it the Zamboni. I think you guys know what we're talking about, and clean the practice or the playing floor surface. We spray the bleachers. That has to sit for about 10 minutes. And then we allow the varsity spectators to come in. So for us, when we do that and we clear the gym of the JV fans and let people come in, I think Carrie, what would our biggest team be for winter? Like 12?
12 athletes.
Yeah.
It depends probably on who's available, but I would think 12 to 15.
Yeah. So and 15 would be a big team. I think this year. So
Right.
let's just use 12 for an example. That would allow us to have on one side of the bleachers away from the team, we would have about 12 different sets of family members. Now, if there's split families, there might be some pods of 2 and 2, but still there's about 50 people on one side of the bleachers with 4. On the other side, behind the visitors bench, if we allow one adult and they generally that'll probably be a parent per every kid. We might have 12 kids behind the bench or 12 adults behind the bench or 24. I think we can handle that. It would be harder to do if we didn't clear the gym out of JV and varsity, but if we're going to do that, I feel like we could safely have 4 family members for home people or home athletes and 2 for visitors. I did send along kind of what the schools are thinking. Basketball is thinking, it was pretty much 4 or 0 for home. Basketball, Cuba City, Darlington, Fenimore, all said they would have 4 for home, and Southwestern 4. Now, since this document has been completed, I think Fenimore went to 0 and Southwestern went to 0. During our superintendent meeting, we did talk about, we set a maximum. And so I'll be recommending 4 and 2. But some boards wanted to have 0 and 0. And they said, you know what? It's about the kids competing. It's not about the fans being there. And Minter Point brought up the fact that if a Minter Point student is playing at Cuba City and there's an injury that the parent is watching at home, and let's say it's either a knee injury or maybe even a concussion or a head injury, do we really want that parent 40 minutes away? So almost everybody was going to go back to their board and say, for those who said 0, try to go from 0 to 1. They can drive them to the game, so it reduces kids on the bus. And if on the off chance that there is an injury, there is an adult there, an adult parent there. So any questions that you guys have about our SWAL procedures? I know Carrie's here and Carrie's been working with the ADs. Anything you want to add, Carrie?
No, everything was pretty much coming to a head this week with board meetings, and the superintendent did a great job getting together and getting some consistency, which made it easier, I think, on everybody's minds. I do want to add that just from my discussions, when you mentioned, we decided as a SWAL with the mask mandate or not, that the SWIC and I think the 6 Rivers are following suit. And the SWIC even sent out, because we must have them coming up pretty soon, that Cuba City goes to Dodgeville and we walk in and we're like, well, the mandate's off. We're good to go. And we're not, but if we were, they're game over. They will not play. So it might be something we want to make sure we send out to any non-conference school that's coming to Cuba City. I mean, we're good with, most of them are going to be SWIC, 6 Rivers, but when you mentioned the Dells, that they know that ahead of time. But it seems like most schools in our area are all on the same page with that.
Any questions, board?
So Erin, you had talked about looking at possibly 1 to 2 parents per athlete for high school, but what does that look like for the middle school with that smaller space?
We talked a lot about and went down and looked. We can't even have if we wanted to practice physical or social distancing, we don't have enough room for even one adult so we're gonna live stream those events. We're gonna invite or ask a parent of the team to come in and stream it. So that parent can be there and maybe rotate that or something, but we want to have it somehow available for people to watch. But our gym has our Cuba City Elementary School gym has those 2 rows of bleachers, and if you have 2 rows of bleachers right now, it might as well be 1. And there's not a lot of them. So we're not gonna have any spectators, and most schools are kind of.
That's what I figured, but I wanted to clarify because I know the conversation had kind of continued after our last discussion.
Yeah.
How is your theory then with injuries?
Yeah.
How does that change from middle school to high school?
Well, so we thought of that too, especially with transportation too, because we'd like people to be able to drive. The average middle school teams are bigger than high school teams as far as total numbers. More participate in middle school sports, maybe not in some years, but in general, we'll play a lot of teams that have 15 kids. And so when we went down and looked at how we could have even 25 parents in there and how close they would have to be, we just didn't think that would be and they're so close to the court. Where in the high school, we could have, we can block off the bottom 2 rows and the fans are never within 6 feet of the players. We just can't safely do that there. But I certainly understand that. I would like to be able to say at least one parent can come. I just don't know how we can house them.
I guess what are we gonna do about the transportation, both middle and high school? I mean, is it parents only, or are we doing a combination of bus and parents?
Yeah, we have to provide transportation based on our policy, and we will. But we'll encourage parents to take their kids when they can, just because the more you can be around people from your household, the better. But looking at how they quarantine, as long as we have 3 bus rows in between the one team and the other, there wouldn't be cross-contamination of the teams, which is what we're trying to stay away from.
I guess back to Dan's question about the middle school, I mean, if you're going to, basketball, I mean, basically, you're gonna have to bus them all, potentially, because I don't know how many parents are gonna wanna drive their kid and then have to sit in the car.
And those games start at 4:00, not 6:00, but the injury part is rough, and we talked about that, and most of us play in gyms that just didn't feel like we could handle that.
Our high school gym is probably too busy to be able to use middle school sports in there too.
Yeah.
Could you stream it to one of these screens in the library or the cafeteria that you could at least have a parent on site if they wanted to be?
That's an idea. Tina, do you think we could probably do that?
Yes.
We could, because I think, trying to think, at the elementary school, usually we have the cafeteria open like with a mini concession stand, but right now that's 2 classrooms.
Would the all-purpose room be used for that, if it's opened up, or is that 2 classrooms right now too?
No, the all-purpose room is open and we could wheel a clear touch in there.
And the library has a clear touch in there over in the elementary
Sure.
now.
Yeah.
The only thing is, if you're gonna live stream it, you have to have the right equipment to live stream it. And like I said, right now, we can't use an iPad, you have to use a laptop. So that's not quite as convenient doing a ball game.
Yeah.
Because it's not a very big screen, I mean, basically, it's what I see right here,
Mhm.
so
Well, and
yeah.
just I mean, if you had an iPad, at least you put it on a
Big
stand
enough.
and you can hold it, it's more,
What's our expense on that? Not the cost of the iPad, because we have iPads.
to get like a streaming camera,
Yeah.
which is what we'd have to get. Couple
Well, you say
thousand.
you can do it with an iPad. I mean, we can't do it. What's our holdup of streaming with the iPads that we have?
Because we need 1,000 viewers on YouTube.
We can't upgrade for a price?
Nope.
It's all on the views.
So if we had an iPad that was hooked to our Facebook page, could we Facebook Live the event?
Yes.
I think that's probably what we would do. We just have to provide the iPad
Mhm.
to that person.
Yeah, we
Or
could
you
totally
could-
do a Facebook Live. That would not be a problem at
Yeah.
all.
You could look into a USB camera and have that connected to a computer and do it just as easy.
We've talked about that, but it's money.
Oh, nothing's cheap.
Facebook Live is.
Yes, yes. But we've talked with,
Run anywhere from $500 to $7,000, depending on which one you want to get.
because Chevy has suggested that, but right now our tech budget's gone. But yeah, that's definitely something we probably need to look for in the future. It's just not doable now.
And when she says our tech budget is gone, our tech budget is usually always spent by September because we want everything in by the time the kids get here. So don't be nervous about that.
Well, but just stepping back to Dan's point, I do like the idea, whether we have the live streaming set up or not, of having a space where families could go, at least to be on site to, in case of that injury concern, even if it's.
So should we have one parent per athlete are allowed in the facility in case they want to come, and we'll try to stream it somewhere in the building. But we'll have to identify what the capacity is for the bleacher area.
That would also allow for the driving.
Yep.
For the
Yeah.
parents to drive the students.
Is that something that conference-wide it could be done?
I can
Or
certainly
you could ask,
I can certainly bring that up. Yep.
because again, I could drive my kid to basketball, I could go to X spot and at least watch it.
Yeah. Yep. And see him right after.
Yep.
That's the good part.
Pick
So
him up and
I
go.
will make sure, I will throw that out there. But I like that plan too.
Is there any opportunity in the middle school to even have like 3 or 4 parents per game and they rotate that? So if there's room, for instance, if we don't have the capacity for 1 parent or 2 parents or whatever it is for each player, could you have the space for just, for example, 4 parents?
Oh, okay.
And then, every parent would get to watch every 3rd game or, whatever that would amount to be.
We'll work on that. But what I'm hearing you guys say is you want to find a way to have, at least 1 parent in the building in case there's an injury.
That's really my preference.
And then I think we can try to figure out how we can safely do that, whether it's, hey, each, maybe it's our home teams get 1 parent gets to come into the gym, and visiting teams, you guys get 4. You guys pick which 4 you want to have, something like that. Okay, that's a good idea.
Anything else?
Can I ask a question on that real quick?
Yeah.
If you're gonna do the Facebook Live, would you prefer to have just like a middle school basketball Facebook page? Or do you want that on the Cuba City page?
Great question.
Okay.
I would probably ask our communication director what her recommendation would be.
Okay. Alrighty.
Would you do the same for volleyball and everything too?
I think we have to.
Well, if you go with all the separate pages, that becomes a lot for that.
Or if we just do like,
communications team to maintain.
yeah, or if we do a sports page, like middle
Yeah.
school sports page,
Yeah.
so we could do
Page
the,
could be-
I'll put that on our next agenda.
Awesome.
If there's no other questions, would somebody move to approve what we just discussed?
I'll make a motion to approve the activity limitations through January 2021 as presented.
Is there a second? Sarah?
Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Cole.
Yeah.
Schrader.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item D, approve the Neola suggested policies.
Yep, we met earlier today. We have 2 Neola suggested policies. It's really on federal spending. There were some federal law changes that just said when you get federal dollars or when you get federal grants, here are the things that you have to do now. And so we approved those. We also had one local policy, which is our transportation policy, 8600. Nothing changed in the policy wording. It's just the form the parents filled out. With the old form, I just always had to end up calling the parents and asking a few follow-up questions. This form just has all those common questions on the form that they fill out for in-town transportation. So no change to the policy, but because the form was in the policy, since we're doing that, it's technically a policy change, but it's really just the information that we require from the parents.
If there's no questions, would somebody move?
I'll move to approve the Neola suggested policies as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinterman, yes. Poole,
Yeah.
Schrader,
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Item E is the sale or discard of old volleyball standards as Ellie described. Are there any questions or comments, Carrie?
No, we have brand new stuff and we're just waiting to use it and the poles have been changed, so we have no use for the standards and I need the cart to make sure we take care of the new fancy standards.
Is there any need for the old ones at either St. Rose or HDIC or the Dickeyville Community Building?
I have no idea if they would fit. Someone would have to check to see if the holes that are already in the gym would work.
I can check with that tomorrow.
And the standards are not in great shape. We've had these for quite a while. And the nets that would go with the standards that probably have to, just based on measurement, are not in great shape. So, you know, normally I'd say, yeah, let's find somewhere to go with these. And other than building a new gym,
So you don't think there's a possibility of a sale anyway?
well, I think it'll be tough because of what needs to be done. You know, if there's someone creative that wants to make the net fit, you know, or make the poles fit, it's definitely something that can be talked about. I'm not sure the value is there when you think about the user friendliness of it, and the cables aren't great. They've been torqued quite a bit over the years because there's a lot of pressure on them, but I'm not saying no, because we've never sold any before.
I will tell you that HGIC and the Holy Ghost in Dickeyville just got new standards within the last 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll check with all three of them just to see.
Okay. All right, thank you for doing that. Would somebody move?
I'll move to approve the sale or discarding of old volleyball standards as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Andrews,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinterman, yes. Poole.
Yep.
Schrader,
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Item 7, personnel. Approve the hiring of a new 8th grade middle school boys basketball coach, Travis Vanetta.
And he is the 7th grade coach. That was a typo there. He's not 8th grade, it's 7th grade. But we had a previous coach who resigned kind of the week before the season started. And this is a parent from one of the players. And Mr. Gooden, Mrs. Olson, I believe he'll do a great job for us. So we recommend that we hire Travis.
Is there any questions? Hearing none, would somebody move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Mr. Travis Vanetta as the new 7th grade boys basketball coach as presented.
Good job, Don. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. Andrews.
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Hinterman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
White. Yes. Motion carried.
Committee reports, budget and finance, any news?
We haven't met.
Okay. Building and grounds,
We haven't met.
curriculum, instruction and assessment.
They won't meet till probably June.
Okay. Personnel, we met prior to the October meeting, any other meeting needed?
Not at this time, but eventually, yes.
Okay. Policy, you met tonight, and we heard about that, so. Technology and transportation, Don, or Dan, I should say.
No, we haven't met. We're still waiting to hear from the bus company and Eileen and the crew.
We're assuming like that meeting, we'll have a transportation meeting eventually. Whether that is going to be this week or in 3 weeks is really up to the other side.
Okay. Alrighty. Foundation as well did not meet. And CISA 3, I don't really have anything. If there's nothing else, I'd entertain adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, everybody. Have a safe Thanksgiving.
Congratulations.